Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome back to another unboxing of a collector booster here at AwesomeCGG. As usual, I'm your host Jeff. I'm a regular here. I'm looking forward to playing a pre-release in a few hours. And if you haven't been to the channel before, what we try to do when we do our unboxings are not just concentrating on the dollar value of cards or getting excited about particular pulls, but occasionally delving into some of the lore behind what's going on, although I'm going to be honest with you folks, the lore is going to be kind of crazy on this one. There's the story of what's been going on in Magic, where Phyrexia has invaded the entire multiverse simultaneously. They sent branches of this corrupted tree that can split through planes. And pretty much they've invaded everywhere in the entire multiverse, except for maybe a handful of places. So we're going to have new types of cards that reflect that. We're going to have team-ups of legendary characters that normally would be on opposite sides of a battle if they were left to their own devices on their plane, but now they've joined forces to fight off the Phyrexian invasion. And we're going to have treatments out the wazoo. Wizards of the Coast refers to their special art treatments, both frames and art, as showcase treatments. Well, since they've invaded so many places in this set, we are having throwback showcase treatments of all of the places that have been invaded. So the special treatments that were present for Zendikar are here. The special treatments that were present for Throne of Eldraine are here. For Kaladesh are here. And they've even invented a couple for planes like Tarkir that didn't have a showcase treatment last time we visited. Well, there's one now. So I'm going to do my best to keep track of what's going on in these. Definitely going to need the scissors. But even I might get confused from time to time, and I don't necessarily mean that as a criticism. There's a little bit of something for everybody, but it can be hard to keep track of at times. So let's line this up, trying to get in focus. There we go. So we have our usual commons. We have a couple of, sorry, that's silicon. We have a couple of uncommons. Here is our first battle, which is a new card type. All of the battles in the set, their subtype. I apologize, I'm trying to focus this. Maybe I need to come down here. Well, we're going to move on in any event. Everything here is a battle subtype siege. When the siege enters the battlefield, it has an effect, and it has a defense value. Instead of attacking your opponent or one of their planeswalkers, you can attack or deal direct damage through something like, lightning bolt variants to the invasion. If you knock it down all the way, it will flip and be cast, and sometimes they become creatures, sometimes they become enchantments. They do a bunch of different things. None of us are really sure exactly how this is going to go. If you tuned into early access the other day on Twitch and YouTube channels where streamers were practicing with the new cards early, you're going to get a better idea of those of us here who are just looking forward to pre-release. Jury is still out. We have our full art basic land, and now we start moving into the rares. So we have our Commander Inclusion Foil, Elspeth's Talent. We have Questing Beast at home, but simpler, but also still probably good in Rampaging Raptor. We have another commander card, Vivian's Talent. Here's one of those showcase treatments. Now, Radha is not in the set proper, but she's got a throwback card. This is a reprint, adding a style that she didn't have previously. Same thing here with Raph, Weatherlight Stalwart. Previously appeared in Dominaria. An extended foil Transcendent Message. And Ayara, First of Lochthwain, in this etched treatment. And then we've got our double-sided token. I'm just going to make a single pile out of things here because if I tried to separate them, I have no idea how that taxonomy would play out. All right. Golden Scale Aeronaut. Work our way through the commons. Through the uncommons. A full art basic. Breach the Multiverse. Now, this is a commander card if I've ever seen one. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Then each creature you control becomes a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. A lot of things in this set care about Phyrexian subtype. We have City on Fire, one of those damage doubling, or in this case tripling enchantments that you see from time to time. Bitterthorn, this is Animus. Reyev, Master Smith. I'm going to complain ever so slightly that they used a frame that originally indicated something was an artifact in the Masterpiece series to refer to non-artifact things, but in the end, it's a pretty card. Oh, hey, we doubled up on Reyev. And we have an extended foil Monastery Mentor, which is in the set proper, which means that we have Monastery Mentor, Monastery Swiftspear in the same standard once again. It's been a while since we've had that. Aurelia the War Leader. Here is the showcase frame for Ravnica that they created for this set. We'll have to see if they reuse it next time we go back to Ravnica, which assuredly will at some point. An Incubator token. This is one of the prominent tokens that appears other sides of Phyrexian. For those of you showing up for Limited, a bunch of things will create these, which are just artifacts that sit there with a number of +1/+1 counters on them, and then you can transform them, interestingly enough, at instant speed into a Phyrexian with the +1/+1 counters still on it. So that's going to be intriguing how that plays out in Limited tonight. Moving right along, we have our commons. Some uncommons. Another invasion, this time of Moog. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not sure which plane that is. They're doing some really deep cuts on some of these invasion cards. Full Art Forest. Realmbreaker, the invasion tree. That's the corrupted version of the world tree that we originally saw in Kaldheim. The Phyrexians grew their own and have used it to invade the multiverse. We have a Chrome Host Seed Shark. Exsanguinator Cavalry. Daxos Blessed by the Sun. Zada Hedron Grinder. Pelucranos Reborn, if you ever wanted a 4/5 with reach for 3. Also, it can transform into Pelucranos Engine of Ruin, a Phyrexian Hydra with reach, lifelink, and some Wormcoil Engine-esque effects. Here's Goreclaw with the Tarkir border that they created just for this set. And there's our Incubator Phyrexian combination again. Portent Tracker and some commons. There's not a lot of lands this time around. We have reprints of some gain lands that all every single one of these shows one of 10 planes being invaded by the World Tree and the Phyrexians. Invasion of Regatha. Forest. Zergo and Ojutai. That's one of those team-ups that I told you about where you have two legendary characters that normally would be at odds, but they're joining forces. Also, this is just kind of a cool card. We have Glissa, Herald of Predation, which is a new card, but in the style of all will be one showcase cards that we saw earlier. Here's another team-up, Surak and Goreclaw. We have Dina, Soul Steeper, done in the showcase style of Strixhaven. I would say everybody's favorite Yargle, but please don't leave hate in the comments that I'm not a Yargle maniac. But the joke was funny once, maybe once. Borborygmos and Fibblethip in the Ravnica style, and Taigam Ojutai Master in the Tarkir style. Going through our commons, briefly mentioning this mechanic, because we saw it on another thing, but there are a bunch of creatures that they come down as monocolor creatures, and then they'll have a Phyrexian mana activation. So you can either pay 4 and a red or 4 and 2 life and transform this, activate only as a sorcery, and it'll become a Phyrexian version of itself on the other side that is generally somehow more powerful. In this case, it gets a power and toughness boost from 4/5 to 7/5, and it gains menace. So that's largely something you're going to see coming up in limited environments rather than constructed ones, but it's something to keep your eye on. Here's Invasion of Mercadia. I bet there are definitely some old-timers wishing we would see Mercadia again, because it has been a while. Here is our first non-uncommon invasion. This is Invasion of Tarkir. It is actually a mythic rare invasion. Oh, this is pretty. Zimone and Dina. We have two of the Strixhaven students teaming up. I know that I said that they're normally at odds. I never really felt like these two didn't like each other. One of the stories, which were actually written reasonably well, there are some stories online related to this set, and the Strixhaven students coming together to protect the school is actually a pretty decent little one. Darksteel Splicer, Valdak, Keeper of the Flame, Raf, Weatherlight Stalwart, and this one has, I think they're calling this a Halo foil treatment. You can see not the usual foiling for something. From Magic, we have an extended foil Tribute to the World Tree. This is a really nice enchantment, to be honest with you. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card if its power is 3 or greater. So if you've got big stuff, you keep drawing gas. And if you draw small stuff, otherwise put 2+1/+1 counters on it. So your Magic dorks coming down late isn't a problem necessarily. Here is what we are assuming is the future treatment for our return to Ixalan, which happens, I believe, this coming summer in Caverns of Ixalan. Here is a reprint of Captain Lannery Storm in the showcase style they're going to give it. All right. As always, there comes a point in the video where I have to pick up the pace a little bit, and I think this is going to be that point, unless I wasn't actually expecting to see just a regular basic land in there, but apparently you can get one in the common slot. So we go through our commons and uncommons, pointing that out as an awesome uncommon. Kenris Spellspear, 1 and a red for a 2/2 with trample. It's got prowess, which is already good, and then for 3 and a Phyrexian blue, you can transform it into a 3/3 with trample, ward 2, and prowess, which is just awesome. Throw that in your deck with your Monastery Swiftspear and Monastery Mentor. Get a Jeskai stew going. Transcendent Message again, Pelucanos Reborn again, Death Greeter's Champion doing all kinds of stuff. There's Raf again, Agar the Freezing Flame, Glissa, but this time in foil, Arixmathes Slumbering Isle in the constellation style that we saw in Theros. I should say that we saw in Theros Beyond Death. The original Theros did not have a showcase version. All right. We work our way through our commons And uncommon, Stoke the Flames is back. Gonna point that out real quick. We have an island. We have Omnath, Locus of All, who is also the Buy a Box promo, which I just realized I don't have handy. But this is... It's a 5-color Omnath. We got there, folks. Glistening Dawn. Pain Distributor. Temeret Chosen from Death. Quende, Pride of Femeref. Sibar Jabari of Zalfir. And a Constellation-style Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. So here's Ixalan being invaded in Jungle Hollow. On the surface of Ixalan's vast tar pits, Phyrexian oil glistened, and old bones began to stir. Another Glistening Dawn, a Knight-Errant of Eos, a Flock Chaser Phantom, Inga Rune Eyes, Zada Hedron Grinder with the Halo Foil Treatment, Nahiri's Warcrafting, Brudiclad Telcor Engineer, and our token. I have a friend who maintains a cube that's a love letter to Kaladesh, and she's probably going to be a little bit sad that there are Phyrexian gremlins because they're so cute and lovable, and sure, they cause trouble, but they're not evil, and, well, that's an evil gremlin. Etali, Primal Conqueror, which, okay, you do the Etali things, and then you flip it, and it's trample indestructible. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters. There is a player here at the shop, a young player. This is going to be going to him. I can pretty much guarantee it. He's got a dinosaur EDH deck. Hey, more dinosaur EDH stuff. Galta and Mavren. Bright Palm, Soul Awakener. Jury, Master of the Review. Valda, Keeper of the Flame. Liliana's Talent. And Judith the Scourge Diva. We are closing in on the final 3 packs. I think there's a mechanic that I forgot to talk about. I will go through these until I see another card with backup, and then I will call that out briefly. Bloodfeather Phoenix. Pylon, Convoke is back. You can tap your creatures to pay for parts of this cost, and you destroy target creature or planeswalker. Surveil 2. We'll have to see how handy that turns out to be. We have a Chandra, Hope's Beacon. I believe that's actually the borderless and not just an extended art. Here we have Kroxa with the Halo foil. I'll just go ahead and talk about it. Backup is a mechanic introduced in this set where when the creature enters the battlefield, it puts a +1/+1 counter on something, itself or another creature. If it puts it on another creature, that creature gains the rest of the entering creature's text box until end of turn. So, if you, say, have a creature that has... Oh, Fairy Mastermind. This is Yuta Takahashi's World Championship card. Since he won the World Championship, he gets a card with design elements that he wants and also represents him in the art. It's also just a really cool card. He wanted it to be playable across pretty much every format, and I think there's a decent chance that it could be. Oh, and an Enophenza Kintry Spirit. Sorry, I got distracted for a moment. With backup. So if a creature with backup enters the battlefield and it has double strike, it puts its counter on an existing 1/1 that you have. That 1/1 can now swing with double strike and gets the +1/+1 counter from backup. All right, here is our last pack. We have Into the Fire, another Breach the Multiverse, an Ichor Elixir, Agar the Freezing Flame, Rankle and Torbrin, and Zirda the Dawnwaker, because yes indeedy, companions are back in the Multiverse Legends slot. So, hope you enjoyed, everybody, and thank you for watching as always.